Just the stats. Reggie Johnson, Eugene Morton coming to you from the lovely city of Atlanta, Georgia. And Eugene, this is kind of interesting situation here. Free agency's been rolling on. We've had some guys who've come and signed the Franz Wagner contract. I think he got over $200 million. I got to look up his contract and see what it was over $200 million. I know it's a max. I do know that. What are your thoughts on that? Because the Pelicans have been trying to find a way to trade Brandon Ingram. I guess maybe, I don't know if they're trying to trade Brandon Ingram, let him go out and see if he can get something on the open market. Maybe they want him to kind of shop around the same way that the Suns did back in the day with Ayton. Me personally, I'm going to tell you what I think contributes to this. Let's go to look at the stats here.
Sure.
Let's look at the stats for last year. So when we look at the stats for last year, not bad stats, man. What, 20? If you do 21 on a roundup, 21, 5, 6, and almost 50%, 49.2. So as I'm looking here at this list, as I'm looking here at these stats, I should say.
Yeah.
On the surface, for everybody who might be looking at this particular portion of the show, on the surface, these stats are $200 million stats. You will get paid. If we were looking at just a snapshot of what you see here on the screen, in today's NBA, this will get you $200 million. Now, I'm going to tell you why that could be a problem, though. So for one of the things they're hearing is that it's a problem for the Pelicans because under the new CBA, with the second apron implications and all that stuff, people are hesitant to throw out multiple max contracts on teams. And the only thing, and I wouldn't say the only thing, but you want to make sure that when you do throw out that max contract now, that you are positive that either you feel like the guy can grow into a max player or you feel like the guy that you have now is for sure a max player. Now, we look at the screen. These are max player stats. A problem that Brandon Ingram has, and we're going to show you another screen here. Let's go to a little quick Google search. Okay.
I hope you have the games played. There you go. Mm-hmm.
Quick Google search. And when you look here, right, let's scroll down. Games played, and you kind of hit it exactly.
Yep.
Right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. He's played 477 games in 8 years. 477 games in 8 years. Now, let me pull out my calculator here. 8 times 82 out of 656. Therein lies, I think, the problem.
Yep.
I think there is a problem right there. You're scared. And when you look at his points, he's a pretty consistent guy. Now, he wasn't starting much here earlier in these Laker years down here.
Right.
But when you kind of scroll up here, look, he's been averaging over 20 points a game for his entire Pelican career. 1, 2, 3, 4. That'll get you that $200 million you're looking for. Now, the problem is this first number. And when you look at the 64, it's the most that he's played. I guess it's the Laker. I don't know if you count that. He wasn't done like he was playing many minutes then. But when it was actually like a legit starter getting starter minutes over 30 minutes a game, which you would have to do for that amount of money, right? For $200 million, that's what you're looking to do.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking personally, that's the biggest factor here. What do you think the market is, and why do you think there's a reason? What do you think the reason would be?
Well, that's number one, right? But now I think a lot of teams have already got their roster set, and a lot of teams are already, like you said, are looking at those first and second aprons, and like what team? I mean, what if you can find the Brandon Ingram trade? Where's it at? Who's going to want to take that on?
Is he a free agent?
He's not this year. He will be next year. He's got a year left.
They're trying to find a situation where they can move him with that year left, basically, and still, because of course next year he just walks for nothing. Then, right? If he plays on that last year,
right. But I mean, so then you got that piece of it. Yeah, it's just. But I mean, if you go around, if you look at all the teams, I mean, it's either they got their roster set, or they're already gonna to tank, or. No, again, like you said, the games missed. That's a lot, to move them to. That's a lot. That's a lot of risk. And then, I mean, maybe he gets moved in February somewhere. Maybe he gets to move to a contender, because then it's like
he would have missed 179 games so far.
Yeah, and he's definitely a shooter. So it takes him, obviously not. And again, I'm not knocking him for this. A lot of NBA players just can't come back and play like their fullest potential. then especially him, and he misses long stretches of games too. It's like it's not like if you look at it, you go, oh, he played 64 games, but he's just you never get you can't. I like I said, you could tell why they're hesitant about giving the guy $200 million because he can't count on it. I mean, they've got it pretty. They've got the rest. They're pretty much set. And I don't know, he's gonna kind of almost be the odd man out with the way the current roster is set up.
Really.
Well, you got Zion, who's I mean, and now you got
I think what it is DeJounte getting there. DeJounte getting there is what calls things into question because they have a similar play. They don't play the same position per se, but they have a similar style of play.
Correct.
And that may be. I don't know. Maybe we get a look at how it looks on the court. Maybe the Pelicans know something we don't here. But I think that the injury issue just doesn't help. Maybe if he can put together another solid year of over 60 games played, it'll help his case a lot, in my opinion. If you go out there, let's say he goes out in his final year campaign, he puts in over 60 games played. He's a good soldier. He goes out, still averages his 20 to 21 points per game. He does everything he's supposed to do. He'll be in line. Somebody's going to come for him for sure next year, or they might come for him at the trade deadline. Somebody's going to come for him. It'll just depend on what the number is and how desperate a team is, and how his health looks over the season. I don't think that's unfair for him. What are your thoughts on that?
No, that's I think that's the big reason why you don't see you see everyone got a contract, but him, everyone legit, everyone that's kind of in the last year or almost last year has signed their extensions, right? And now he's in the last year of his contract, and he doesn't have.
He wants a 4-year 208 too, by the way. 4-year 208.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not.
It's just hard to pay $52 million a year to a guy that does not play the games. Like you have to really pay the money. Like you have to pay the money, no matter where they play the games or not. So it's kind of like if you already see a guy is missing this many games at 177 out of 6 something, that's about roughly 20% ish of the games that he missed. No, bro, 20 to 25% somewhere in there. So no, I think that the 20 to 25% games missed, I think is going to be the biggest issue. All of the contractual stuff and not wanting to sign multiple guys to max contracts and stuff like that, I feel like we'll get worked around if teams feel like there's a real winning reason to pay that money. If there's a real winning reason to step out there and do that. But teams are looking at that second apron and like, no, man, I'm just not. They're not interested. They're not
right.
interested. A lot of teams
exactly. Yeah. Why? And again, if you're New Orleans, you are a playing team, and you already have another star on your team that has health issues. But he came through last year. He played a solid season. I just don't know if I want 2 guys with health issues, and I think it's tough too because I think Brandon thinks he's a number 1 over Zion.
I think he could be a number 1. Do you think he thinks he's number 1 over? Well,
I think so. I just kind of what I'm seeing.
I think most players feel like they're number 1s though, right? Like I feel like if you were to ask a lot of these guys if they felt like they were number 1s, they would say they are. And of course, us as fans would be like, come on, man, like let's be serious. You're nowhere near it. But maybe they all think that. I don't know.
Yeah. And I think he's a good solid number 2, right? I just don't. And maybe at some point, he has to, and he does have, you're right, has those flashes of being number 1, but it gets whitewashed with all the injuries. You get to see it. You get to see it like a moment. Oh, you get to see it, and then you're like, oh, but then he gets injured. You only get to see it like a week or 2. So, and I don't blame him.
I also think you bring up a good point too, Eugene, of their main guy having the same issue. If your main guy's got the same problem, so it's kind of like, if I'm gonna have one guy, do I need 2 guys with injury issues? Can I get a guy? Remember, I was telling you when the Franz Wagner contract that I feel like one of the reasons he got paid that money was because he played all the. If you look at his games, he has like 82, 79, 79. Yes. It's a smaller sample size than Brandon Ingram, but it just looks so much better. It looks so much better when you can put that when it comes time to get paid, and you can slide that box score and stats and all that stuff across the table to the team. It looks good that your games played starts with the number 7 versus having years where it starts with a 4 or a 5 and the highest number is a 6. Then you're kind of like, all right,
Yeah, and with Franz's case, I mean, he still put up points. Like, again, the 3-point shooting went down last year, but it's like at least like you said, availability is always the best thing, right? That's
Availability is
really
something is something that is um it's something that I feel like it should be highlighted here for players that have been able to stick around a lot. And one of those guys that we're going to talk about here right now is this guy here, Mr. Mikal Bridges, signing on here with the Knicks. And one of the things we got to ask ourselves here, man, we got to ask ourselves now, because now that Mikal Bridges is there with the Knicks, they re-signed OG Anunoby. We'll look at that contract, see what that contract looks at a little bit later here.
Mhm.
But now, are the Knicks a team to beat, man? Let's see what they gave up. I think they gave up. Let's see what they gave up to get them. First trade between the New York rivals since 1983. Isn't that crazy, right?
That's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We'll line up alongside Brunson, Hart, and DiVincenzo. Players helped the Wildcats win 2 NCAA championships. Yep. And were the core of the Knicks lineup last year. So the Knicks will pay the big to get him. We'll pay big to get him. Yep. Bojan Bogdanovic, Shake Milton, and I don't even know this last guy's last name, Diakite. Were sent to the Knicks. Were sent to the Nets along with 4 unprotected first-round picks and 1 protected pick. So the Knicks receive Mikal Bridges, Bates Diop. I didn't even see him in the deal. 2026 second-round pick for the Knicks and draft rights to Juan Pablo. I'm not sure who this guy is. The Nets received the players that were mentioned prior: an unprotected first-round pick in 25, an unprotected first-round pick in 27, unprotected first-round pick in 29, unprotected first-round pick in 2031, unprotected pick swap in 2028, top 4 protected 2025 first-round pick via Bucks, second-round pick in 2025. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I love Mikal Bridges. I do. Let's share his stats here for the people. Okay. I love Mikal Bridges. That was quite a haul. That was quite a haul. Like which you gave up. Now, let's do the stats for the people who are listening and not able to see the screen. We'll just do all the roundup on all the stats here. 20 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 43.6% on the field goal. So all these a little bit less than what Brandon Ingram was giving you with the Pelicans. So maybe like a third option guy, right? Maybe these numbers scream maybe could be first, second option. But I feel like if Mikal Bridges is your second option, you might be in trouble just due to the teams like the Celtics, teams like the Bucks, if Giannis is healthy, where the second options are just all-stars. You know what I mean? Some of these borderline Hall of Famers are your second option. So what are your thoughts on it? I think the Knicks are going to be a better team. I can't say that I think this moves the Knicks. I don't know if this moves the Knicks in front of Boston. I don't know if it moves the Knicks in front of the 76ers if Embiid is healthy and Paul George just keeps doing Paul George things.
Yeah.
So they gave up quite a bit.
Yes.
4 unprotected first round picks. Okay?
Correct.
4 unprotected first round picks. Was it worth it, in your opinion?
To see where this team is and what their potential is, to basically they pretty much.
What do you think the potential is for yourself? Like, where do you think?
I think they definitely, and they're definitely not okay. Boston, let's just say they're clearly the number 1, but at least they took the Boston playbook and said, let's just copy it, right? Let's get us 5 guys that could play, they could switch on ball, they could play defense, and they finally got 5. I mean, let's just face it, they were probably going to make the Eastern Conference Finals if they didn't have so many injuries, right? It was like another man. It was so many men down. It was like just every other second there was like a guy down. So
Julius Randle's still there, right?
Yeah, Julius Randle's still there. Yeah, he's still there.
Okay.
He was injured last year, so he was part of the injury.
Quite a bit. So it'd be interesting to see if he comes back. So let's just take injury out of it, okay?
Yeah, he's coming back.
And bring back Randle.
Yep.
So now they have Randle, Anunoby, right? Of course, Josh Hart, DiVincenzo. I'm not sure if this is going to be their starting 5, but I'm just not naming the players off the top of my head.
But again, look at
Anunoby, Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, keep naming.
Brunson,
Brunson.
DiVincenzo,
Yeah.
Josh Hart,
Yeah.
and I think Julius Randle, right? That's a strong.
Julius Randle. That's a
strong
strong
team right there, right?
Yeah, exactly. And for the nights maybe you're gonna have Randall's gonna have those injury nights. You have guys you can plug into that lineup. So
Right.
I mean, I love it. I like when a team goes just throws it all in. And let's just say those unprotected next year, if the Knicks are your number 2 or number 3 seed, those are going to be low picks for Brooklyn anyway. So who cares?
I think
You're
that's what
throwing
a lot of
away-
those teams hope for when they go
Yeah.
into these kind of moves. They hope they're throwing away, even though you can get him. Like, you can see where your boy Jokic was drafted. These picks can still count down, even if they're down the line picks, even if they're lower picks. But they still need to be picks. I like it, don't love it. I like it, don't love it. I tend to think if I'm going to trade this many, because it was what, 4 or 5 players. Let me go back and do the count here. Let's go back and count here, guys. So it is. Let's do that. I'm just gonna do the player count here. All right.
Right.
Count the picks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Pick swap. I'm not really gonna count that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I'm going to trade 9 players for a guy, 9. I want, and I know we're kind of splitting hairs here because I did do the roundup. But I kind of want, Eugene, that number to start with a 2 legitimately on your points. Like I want that number to I traded 9 players, bro. 9 players. If we were to go back and look at some of the other guys at 9, how many did Rudy Gobert? Remember when people felt like Rudy Gobert, they got a haul for Rudy Gobert? I mean, I can't say that Mikal Bridges is better than Rudy Gobert.
Well, it's
I
just,
think he's a better player, and they're about on par. When you look at what the haul was, I have to go back and look at the Rudy Gobert trade. But I remember being quite a haul, and people were like having a heart attack over that trade, man, feeling like, hey, you know, that they got fleeced, you know, and all that stuff. But it ended up working out pretty well for Minnesota.
It did,
as they kind of came into that second year. I think Mikal Bridges is a piece, and I don't want this to take. I don't want this to look like I'm disparaging him as a player, because I felt like when the Phoenix lost him, I didn't like that. I said that on the same show. I didn't like it. I felt like he was a vital part of their team. Sometimes you don't know how vital those parts are. I'm not saying that a lot of people wouldn't have made the same trade for Kevin Durant that they did, because that's life. Of course, it's Kevin Durant.
Yeah,
of course.
Kevin Durant.
Okay, we got it. But it's one of those situations where you acquire a great piece like Phoenix did, but you don't know if they got better as a team. Like, you acquired a great piece, but when you got rid of Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges, these guys have played a lot of games for you. At least Mikal Bridges plays almost all the games. It's another thing about him.
Right.
He's a durable guy. So when Phoenix, you know, when he left, I thought that was a big deal for them. And I do think this is kind of a big deal for the Knicks. I never really bought into him as a solid number 1 player. But I look at him as like a Tyrese Maxey type, though, like a little bit under that, right? Slightly under that.
Yeah,
a guy who
slightly under Tyrese, but yeah.
A guy who, given the opportunity, if he's going to be the number 1 guy on your team, can get you about 20 points and be a legitimate scorer for you. But it'd be interesting to see how he fits into this role. They were already the 2nd seed without him. I'm not really ready to say that this move takes them to the 1st seed yet.
No,
I'm not ready to say that this takes them over Boston, though. So I guess I'll kind of leave it there.
I agree with that.
So, let's talk a little bit about your boy, Donovan Mitchell here. Donovan Mitchell. Now, are you surprised? Hold on here. My bad. I had a total wrong thing here. Let's get our stuff right here. So Donovan Mitchell, because I think I had him re-signing with the Knicks. Now, Donovan Mitchell's never played for the Knicks, so he can't re-sign with a team he's never played for. Man, we gotta get things right on this show, man.
There we go.
I'm determined to do it for the people, man. All right. Are you surprised Donovan Mitchell re-signed with the Cavs? Now, a lot of people, I think I had Knicks on the brain at the time, because that was what everybody, and you know, maybe this is a situation too. I don't know if you've noticed this. Anytime any job becomes available, it's kind of like the Knicks to lose, kind of to a certain degree, right? It's kind of like, are they going to the Knicks? No matter the player, is he going to the Knicks? Damian Lillard, are you going to the Knicks?
Right.
You know? and nobody seems to go there. I mean, Mikal Bridges got traded there. The Knicks, you gotta get a guy to go there. In just plain out free agency. And just flat out free agents. You know how they do the free agent where guys are kind of doing the tour, the free agent tour that Carmelo did way back in the day.
Yep.
These guys go on free agency tours. As much as New York, because New York is it's New York for one, massive market, one of the biggest markets in the world. It's one of the most valuable teams on earth with the New York Knicks. Even when they were losing, they were one of the most valuable teams on earth. And yet they didn't seem to be one of those teams that a lot of marquee free agents have chosen over my life when I really come to think about it. I wonder why that is. I wonder why isn't New York? Because Brunson went to New York, but I think Brunson's dad already had a situation there in New York. I think that when Brunson went there, it was kind of a thing with Dallas. He was kind of disenchanted. Dallas didn't want to pay him. If Dallas had paid him, he wouldn't have gone to New York. If Dallas had just paid him. It's interesting because I wonder why players aren't going there. And when I saw that Donovan re-signed with the Cavs, kind of like that was just yet another player that New York missed out on. Let's go over the current contract, 2024-25 season, 34.8. I'm going to do roundups on these guys. I'm not going to go down to the last dollar. $34.8 million at a $37.1 million player option that is now replaced with a year one of his new extensions. Okay, so that makes sense. 25-26, he's at $46 million. 26-27, he's at $50. 27-28, he's at $53. Total 150. This deal isn't crazy in today's NBA.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
You look at some of the money some of these guys are getting. They're getting like $200 million for 4 years. He's got $150 million for 4 years. And it's Donovan Mitchell we're talking about here. Let's go to his stats. Let's go look at Big Donovan's stats, man. Let's make sure we're not just talking out of our behind here. All right. So I got Donovan up here. 26.6 on the points. 26.6, 27. We're doing rounds up here. 27, 5, 6, 46% on the field goal percentage. Yeah. That's a $200 million guy, bro. It's a $200 million guy. How could some of these other guys that are getting $200 million get $200 million and he not? I don't know if he left money on the table to keep some of those guys there. I'd be interested in kind of looking at that and see, does that make sense? Am I talking out my behind here? Like, does it?
Well,
he's got a 4-year 150.
Well, we heard all the chatter, right? That he was going to leave. That was the whole thing, right? He was going to leave Cleveland and whatever. And then, the two New York teams made up their mind what they wanted to do. I love Donovan Mitchell. I'm not sure he would have fit in with that current roster. I mean, I just don't know
because I like him and Brunson are very similar to me. And I was like, I don't know if you've already got Brunson there. I like Donovan as a player fit with Cleveland more.
Exactly.
I do with New York, to be honest with you.
And then you got Brooklyn, who just decided, okay, we're gonna tank. So you just
I forgot to tell you, Ben Simmons is back. Did I send that to you? I meant to send that to you and let you know that Ben Simmons is back. I know that you're gonna be very excited.
I am super excited. I watched him take some warm-up shots, and everyone lost their mind.
Man, did you see him in the gym, man? Those shorts on, man. It's summertime. He's in the gym. He's working it out, man, getting it in. All these guys throwing up their summer shots, and people being like, "Oh, watch out for them. They're coming."
We should have a montage of just different guys in kind of shorts and just how disappointing their careers is. Like Zach
breaking
Wilson,
out those sweats in summer play.
Yeah. Ben Simmons. What was his name? What was the guy from the play to the Raiders that he threw off his knee and everyone lost their mind? He was a high draft pick and he was gone, LSU quarterback. But yeah, so we a whole montage of those guys. But at least with the 3-year, I think that he does. I mean, yes, he wants to stay in Cleveland, obviously, but now he's not kind of tied.
He might be able to go and just re-up again.
Right.
He's 27. So 3 years gives him another bite at the apple, about roughly 30, 31-ish. Because if he plays he's got a 4-year total, right? We know he probably re-ups in that last one, right? So you play 3 of the 4, probably try to re-up that last. That'll put him at about 30-ish when that happens.
Right. So I think
30,
Yeah,
31.
like I said, I think that's for him.
He'll
He's
probably squeeze another 200 in there if he's really handling business. He can probably get another 200 at 30, 31, to be honest with you.
yeah, and let's just face it, they're a good team. They're not. It's not like he's going for like. It's not like he's
Absolute
stuck in a
facts.
right. He's got a they got a good roster. Maybe the coach wasn't wasn't the best, but I mean
I mean, they got rid of Big but he took them to the playoffs. I don't even understand that. What, they were a fourth or fifth seed. Garland had health issues, and Donovan had health issues. Couldn't get those guys on the court at the same time. A lot of games. I don't know if it was his fault, to be honest with you.
I don't blame him. Yeah, it's maybe it's one of those things, and maybe he'll go to the Detroit and just
Oh my God.
So that team has a talented roster as well. So
they do to be especially to have the results that they have, right?
Yeah. So maybe he can like.
Oh, here it is though. This is why 3 years and not 4. Let me read this for the people. I have something on my screen blocking. Donovan Mitchell will have 10 years of service in the 27-28 season. A player with 10 years of service can sign or extend for 35% of the salary cap. The projected max in 27-28 is 65.5. He'll be eligible to sign a 4-year extension in July 2026. Yeah, which is about what I thought he was going to do anyway. Right? Like, of course. You're not he's right at that perfect age for that. So
right. And then if like you see right there, so let's just say he doesn't want to re-sign, like he doesn't want to sign the max. Well, now you have a 2-year window right there, or a 2-year, you have 2 years left of service. And then you could maybe the Cleveland could trade him, like if he doesn't feel like they're going anywhere. So I think it's a win-win for everybody in this. He gets kind of what he wants. He gets to stay with a good roster, a talented roster. I mean, I don't think they're better than Boston, New York, or Philly, but it's not. You're not in the worst situation. You're gonna be in the playoffs.
That's true. And you're knocking in on the door. It's a team that's in ascension, so to speak. You're not kind of going to the net. It's a team where you could see that's obviously an obvious kind of decline in some of these other teams that we will probably talk about. You know what? Let's talk about it now, man. Let's bring up our guy, Mr. DeRozan here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one of the things that we want to know here, and I think the answer is very obvious, because this is a team that's opposite of the Cleveland Cavaliers that we were just speaking of. A team that's not ascending. It's a team that's descending rapidly now that DeMar DeRozan has left. We don't know what's going on. We just talked about Ben Simmons, right? The Lonzo Ball situations, they're the same way. Like I've seen a lot of Lonzo Ball getting ready in other ways outside of actually like being, available for Chicago. He got that money and they're kind of hamstrung with that contract. They got the Zach LaVine contract. They've been trying to get rid of.
Nobody wants that contract, by the way.
Yeah. So now here we are with DeMar dipping onto the Kings.
Mm-hmm.
Does this say to you that Chicago is fully embracing rebuild land? It's rebuild time.
No, because we don't know what they're doing. We don't know where they're still.
Who are their players? They got Cody White, right? Like the kid Cody White. He did pretty decent.
Kobe White he's decent. I mean, he's definitely turned the corner. Definitely was the average almost 20 points a game. Definitely came on. I was surprised. I liked Kobe White when he was at North Carolina. I didn't see this kind of production. So, and Lonzo's had the leg injuries, right? He's had the knee issues, and we don't even
Lonzo's
know.
kind of in and out. One of those guys that you hope to see at any extended period of time, but has the same kind of issues that ails some of these other players that we've talked about during the show, that they can't seem to just stay healthy out there. And at least some of those other players, Brandon Ingram doesn't even deserve to be mentioned in the same sentence. At least Brandon Ingram's played every season. So
right. Exactly. And so you got a guy who can't, and it's it's nothing he's doing. I mean, he's gone trying to get surgery, and there's just something wrong with his legs. And the crazy thing is, like, he's probably looks like one of the better balls that you want to play with, Lonzo Ball. Just because he looked like a competent point guard, right, when he played. So, and I think to your point, they're trying to embrace the rebuild, but nobody wants their players. Nobody wants LaVine.
So they're not getting a dancing partner to embrace it with them.
No,
is what you're saying. Is what you're going at.
Yeah. Well, you saw the trade that the Golden State tried to do, right? And they were like, "Hey,
we'll give you." What was it?
They wanted Chris Paul, Wiggins, I think Moody. I think either Moody or Kuminga, one of those either 1 or 2 and a draft pick. And they're like, nah, we'll just waive Chris Paul. We're good. Huh?
That's what Chicago wanted, or
Chicago, that's what they wanted for Zach LaVine. And they're like, nah, we're good.
for Zach LaVine, my bad. So for Zach LaVine, they wanted those players from. You almost have to do opposite. You almost have to give something away with Zach LaVine. Like
so and they were trying to, they were attaching a first round pick with that. But again, it was So that tells you right there, nobody wants him.
Yeah, he's distressed asset right now. So maybe DeMar did the right thing here by moving on. Maybe that, right?
He did.
And DeMar DeRozan is a great player, a underrated player in my opinion, because he's been underrated great for a very long time since he was in Toronto. He's always been great, and he's always a good soldier, right? He's always a guy you don't hear a lot about him. He can go out there, give you his 20-ish points a game, right? Give you that solid performance, get out of there. For the people that can't see, 24 points per game, 17th in the league, huh? It's not bad. 106 in the league on rebounds at 4. So 24, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 48% on the field goal percentage. Great player.
Great player.
Great player here. I have nothing bad to say about DeMar DeRozan. Like, you know, it's there's some players that have like flawless from a career standpoint. To me, DeMar has just been flawless. Excellent player. You don't hear a lot about him. He's going to go out there and handle business. Doesn't have significant droughts where he just falls off the face of the earth. You know what you're going to get from the guy. I feel like
he can take over a game every now and then.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because he can go get you 30 if he had to. Absolutely, if he has to. So I think he fits in great with De'Aaron Fox. You know how much I love the Kings, man. Fox, Sabonis. Now you got my guy DeMar going there. I think the Kings are pretty. We called them a league pass team for quite some time, right?
And they still are.
They are, but that's only because the West is so loaded, right? So
loaded.
If this Kings team was in the East, we're talking playoff team easily. And I think they might be playoff team now. They're approaching it. Weren't they a playoff team last year without DeMar?
I think so.
I want to say they had a playoff or play-in game last year.
What you're talking?
Okay, so they one of the good things is if you're the Kings fan base, you got to be happy that you're going for it. You're seeing your team make moves and go for it. If nothing else, it sucks as fan base that watch their teams go around and just deteriorate. Like if you're in Chicago, you cannot feel good about seeing your best player just walk off like this. And let's see what they got. Let's go look at the deal. Let's look at the deal here. Okay. Yeah, 3 years, $74 million sign and trade. He's worth more than $74 million, 3 years, but he is 34. So
34.
I get it. Kings receive DeMar DeRozan. Spurs receive Harrison Barnes. Very interesting move there. Chris Duarte.
Spurs are doing.
And 2 second-round picks for the Bulls. Goodness gracious. Even still now, it seems like they came out the loser of this. They did come out the loser of it. But man, I mean, 2 second-round picks. It's not exactly changing the earth, man. We'll see what those picks turn into before we can really judge them. What are your thoughts on the whole DeMar DeRozan situation?
Just to piggyback off what you said, it's like, you know what? Just like a team, the Kings said, you know what? We're not a good defensive team. Let's go get another offensive weapon. And so that's what they did. I love it. It's like, we're just going to be fun. We're going to be fun. We're going to be competitive. And also they did, they finished 9th last year. So they were a play-in team, but I mean,
maybe DeMar gets him over that. What do you think?
I mean, I think I could see them into that 4 through 6 conversation, right? I could see them in there with between the Lakers and all that, because that's just gonna be that 4 through 9 or 10 or whatever. That's just gonna be there's gonna be a lot of logjam in there because like you said, the West is just so packed. But I wouldn't be surprised if they somehow snuck into that 6th seed with the talent, and plus they didn't give away a lot of assets, right? Because I mean, obviously because like, why should we help you out, Chicago? All we have to do is just sign him. He's a free agent. Okay, yeah, we'll give you a 2nd round pick. Okay, here you go. It's not like
right. Just something to make it go down a little easier for you.
Right. So they've got some assets that they could trade, at the deadline if they want to see if they to maybe improve their team defensively. But yeah, I like they're a fun team, man. And him next to playing against okay, blank. Who's the point guard? You just said his name. Who's the second?
De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox. Thank you. So him playing with him, just
Excellent
those two
player,
guys
by the way.
together.
And the kid Murray, they got a team that they're listen, Sacramento. If you're a Sacramento fan, you got something brewing there, right?
Yeah.
Keegan Murray. I told you I liked Keegan Murray when they drafted
Keegan
him.
Murray.
I think he's at least a guy. Keegan Murray, DeMar DeRozan, Sabonis, and Fox, two stars.
Yeah,
you got something there, man.
Yeah,
it's gonna be hard for you to get through the West, of course, like it is hard for anybody to get through the West because the West is so stacked. But that being said, this is a move that gets you in the right direction, in my opinion. Final words here on this for you.
I think, like I said, great pickup. I've always liked him. I thought he got, kind of got the shaft when he was traded out of Toronto. So it's nice to
nice the year him right when they won that, another situation when a guy, because Kawhi Leonard's coming, and it's kind of the same situation we were talking about earlier with the Mikal Bridges, Kevin Durant situation, right?
Yeah.
Here comes Kawhi, so you got to go. I'm sorry, bro. You got to go, right? I mean, it is what it is, right? You got to go. And that's kind of the same thing how it was. And I kind of somewhat get that with the SGA situation. I feel like they may have hit the ejecting button on. I'm not a super fan of hitting the eject button on rookies super early. I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of it because it can come back to bite you so much. So maybe they did on that, but they wanted to get Kawhi there. So it was a lot to that for the Clippers. But you like the trade overall, or you like this for DeMar is what you're saying?
I like it for DeMar. He's going to have a chance to at least go to the playoffs every year that he's there, more than likely with the team. And, I think he's going to have fun. Like DeRozan deserves a chance to go to the playoffs and have some moments. So I'm happy for him. And again, they're going to be they could move to the number 1 slot on the League Pass again for me. So I'll be watching him.
This is Just the Stats. Check us out. Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you find your podcast, as well as TikTok, YouTube, and wherever you stream. We shall be there. Thank you for joining us. See you next time.